بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We're going to start with the explanation and interpretation of the meaning of Surat Al Lail. Surat Al Lail. And Al Lail in Arabic means the night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the surah by saying وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah is swearing by His creation of the night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we mentioned, is the only one who is allowed to swear by His creation. We human, we have to only swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and nothing else. And only swear if you need to. Don't use the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swearing on something silly or not important. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, by the night when it comes and covers up things, yaghsha, when it comes on you. When the night fall, usually it comes really fast. As the sun starts setting, within few minutes, all of a sudden it's extremely dark. Right? Versus in the morning, when the sun starts coming out, it feels like it's cutting through the atmosphere. It's cutting through the horizon. The night, it just kind of fall on us. It's like somebody jumping over you quickly, right? Versus that morning, when the sun starts shining, it's kind of like a knife cutting through a piece of paper. So it cuts through the horizon, and all of a sudden it starts shining gradually. But it's the opposite when the night comes. Once the sun starts coming down, darkness starts coming down on us really quickly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by His creation for the night, and He's swearing by the darkness that it brings upon us. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by the morning, when it clarifies things, when it shines upon you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by it because it's an extreme difference between the dark and the day. During darkness, you could be looking at something really familiar for you. Like, for example, your own backyard. When you look at it at night, it feels different. It feels, the feeling that you get is eerie and kind of scary when it's really dark. The same scene, the same, backyard. When the sun is up and you look, everything is so clear and so, you can focus on, the shapes of the trees, the rocks, nothing scares you anymore. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swearing by those two extremes. The extreme dark and the night, and the extreme the daylight and the brightness of it, and the ability to really see things different. I mean, even your hand. Raise your hand in a dark night, really dark night, you can't even see it. But you feel like your hand is present in front of you. When there is a daylight and you're looking at your hand, you're really seeing all the details of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation in your hand. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore by the day and the night. Because it's a fluctuation in the life of the human. During time you can't see anything. You have to feel things, or you have to use a candle or fire to see. And during the other time, everything is so visible and so clear by the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنْثَى. وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنْثَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is swearing by His creation of anything male and female, whether it's human, animals, or jinn, or whatever it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by His creation of the male and female. In order for life to continue going, there must be something that can come together and reproduce. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the male and the female. In order for human to continue producing, and animals, same thing with the jinn, even with the plants. Everything. Everything is male and female. Even in material things, now when we design things like a screwdriver or a nail or something, male, female, right? The electricity outlet, male, female. Because that's how things get conjoined. They join together. And that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ability and creation, and He's swearing by that creation. إن سعيكم لشتى. إن سعيكم لشتى. Your deeds are variable. They're different. Some of you will choose to do good deeds. Some of you will sway away and decide to do bad deeds. So there is a vast differences. Although we are made male and female, very similar, but there is a big difference between the believers and the non-believers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة. أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. You cannot compare the people of Jannah with the people of the hellfire. The winner are the people of the Jannah. So although we are human, male or female, we look alike, we eat the same thing, we function the same exact way, but there is a big difference between the believer and the non-believer. إِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ لَشَتَّى. Your deeds are going to be different. Some of us are pious, some of us are arrogant, some of us are humble, some of us are show off, some of us are honest, some of us are liars. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that difference to basically reward in the end the people who follow the right path and stay on it, and punish the one that choose to sway away and stay and remain that way. And each human are obligated to find the truth. Each human is obligated to find the truth and seek it and remain that way. Once we got the message of Islam by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are blessed to have it, we need to continue on it, and we need to call people to come and join us. So the people who have not reached Islam yet, or have not decided to convert, and that's the best thing they could do, they have to. That's the responsibility. The responsibility of a human is to seek the truth and find it and follow it and obey it. That's really important. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is giving us an example and telling us some of the differences between the good and bad. He's saying, if the person gives his money for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in charity, and وَاتَّقَى, and seek protection by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the haram, avoided the haram, avoided sinning, avoided the bad, then what? If somebody does all that, donated to charity, and basically had taqwa of the heart, and that's fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and avoiding sinning, then what happened? وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. And he donated to charity, he feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and avoided sinning, and he believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him. He believed in the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He believed in the Jannah. He believed in paradise. That's one of the conditions. In order to get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you must believe in all things He told us about, and all things that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about. And also believed in the day of judgment, believed in the hisab, believed in waking up after death, believed that this life is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All that is part of being a Muslim, believing. فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide that person toward the good, toward the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will make it easy for that person to commit good deeds. He will make it easy for that person to pray, to pay zakah, to make hajj, to do the siyam, to recite the Quran, to memorize it, to share the knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make all that easy on that person who follows and obey and believe. And this ayah, the scholars say that it was sent and descended to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the honor of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu once purchased 6 servants, 6 slaves from the people of Mecca who were getting tortured by the Quraysh. Then he gave them their freedom for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this ayah in the honor of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, and the honorable noble thing that he've done.